Hey, all my window painting friends on Facebook. Some time ago, I said that I was going to show you guys how I actually paint the windows with spray paint. So I was prepping it, and I said, "Oh man, I just remembered." So I want to get this over to you guys. Basically, what I did the outline and sketch with the spray paint. Whenever I have to remove the sketch or the outline, I just use a razor and a window cleaner to remove it. Trying to find the spray paint. Oh, actually, I have a bag here, and I usually keep my spray paint and stuff on my little side bag here, but right here, I have it sitting on the ladder. So I use 94. You could go to pretty much. You have to go to a specialty art store to get these, or you have to order them online, depending on where you're at. But these cans are very, very good. They're low pressure. You change the nozzles from very, very thick to very, very thin. And very versatile spray paint. So this is the first stage, putting the sketch, laying the base. Now I laid the base down here with the traditional house paint, and then I spray paint on top of it for basically just to save time, and then I'll go in with the airbrush to detail it. Still switch back and forth between the traditional roller and the spray paint. The other thing too, when I roll out the base, I go directly over top of the sketch, because you can still see through it. But the traditional base is better because it allows for cleanup a lot easier when you have to remove it. So even if I'm going with 100% spray paint and airbrush with the urethane and spray paint, I will still use a traditional base so that when it's time to clean up, it cleans up easily. Okay, so what I'm doing now is, hoping I'm catching this, I'm just adding little details with the spray paint, drop shadows, and then I'll come in later and clean it up. Let's see, I don't know if you caught that. I almost forgot to show you the most important part, which was the urethane paints. Now I use a brand called Dementia, but they have so many different type of urethane paints. You could go down to any automotive auto body finishing or supplier place, and they sell the urethanes. You want to get urethane that is non-metallic. Very important that you have the squeeze bottles here. I got the squeeze bottles from a hair salon supplier, and they usually put the hair dyes in them. There goes my airbrush here. So I have a reducer. Every time you get a urethane base, you want to get yourself a reducer. Okay, urethane reducer. And this is a thinner. So what I did with the thinner, I just put a little bit of black paint in there and mixed it in there because it's just a cleaner. It's a lacquer thinner to clean out the airbrush, and I don't want to get the two confused because they're both clear liquids. And yeah, so and then I just put them in the airbrush, and this really bites really good to the spray paint. So, I mean, you can have this thing up for years and it'll look brand new as it did the first day you sprayed it. Okay, looking at the squeeze bottles again, basically these are the colors that I use for the most part. And if there's colors that I need that are not here, I just mix them up inside of the airbrush itself. For example, if I need green, I'm obviously going to take yellow and blue, go inside here, mix it up, and spray with it. If I need to transfer over to a different color, then I'll go and I'll take the lacquer thinner, put it inside the airbrush here, clean it out, shake it up, and pour it into the coffee cup here. And I'll just put the new color in it. Alright guys, keep in mind when you're airbrushing, you do not want to put urethane on the glass here, okay, because the urethane won't stick to the glass. Alright, so you want to make sure when you airbrush, you're airbrushing right over the spray paint, as close as you can, get to the border. Okay, all this overspray, don't worry about that. That cleans up pretty easy. Okay. All right, guys, this is the end result. This is a job that altogether, if you're at maximum efficiency, I gotta come back over here and fix that white outline over on this end here. If you're at maximum efficiency, you should have this job completed within a 3 to 4 hour time frame, maybe less than that. I've done jobs within an hour and a half to 2 hours on the same with the same amount of detail involved in it, or close to the same amount. I just want you guys to see. I really should have highlighted those tracks, make them look more metallic. I think that I'm gonna come back when I put the white on here and highlight the tracks a little bit more. Still got to put the lettering in there. Got a little bit more stuff to do. About another 7 minutes worth of work. You got to go around that apple as well. All right, there you have it. Window painting with airbrush and spray paint. Bye. Guys, I wanted to explain to you the difference between reducer and thinner, or lacquer thinner. The lacquer thinner, here we go. The lacquer thinner, like I said, I dropped a little black paint in there just to give it some coloration so that I know the difference between the lacquer thinner and the reducer, because they're both clear. However, the lacquer thinner I use to clean out my airbrush. So when I'm switching between colors, I'll usually pour the lacquer thinner in the airbrush, shake it up, and then pour it into a cup or anything that could hold the residue paint. However, with the reducer, it is basically what its name implies, is that it reduces the paint. So what I'll do, let's say for example, I'll take the white here, I'll pour the white in there, and it'll come out a little thick. You really can't see it here, but it comes out a little thick. So what I do is I thin it down with the reducer, then I shake it up after I put the top back on. Make sure you put the top back on the airbrush. Shake it up, and it thins it down. That's very important when you're doing fades and things of that nature, where you want a nice gradation that is not really noticeable through the atomization. Atomization meaning the droplets. So, just thinning it down with the right consistency, it gets you a beautiful, beautiful fade, and it just moves. It's a smooth transition from one color to the next. Oh, and why do I use urethane as opposed to one-shot enamel? The reason I use urethane opposed to one-shot enamel is that the urethane doesn't dry up in these containers. Okay, so whenever you're ready to pour it out, it's always ready to go. Whereas with the one-shot, if you leave it sit overnight or even for a couple hours, it tends to film up over the top surface and dries up, like I said, on the top part, and which makes it impossible to use, these bottles like this, and you constantly have to remove the film from the top of the one shot, and it's a little messier. As with everything, time is money, with regard to business. So you want to move as quickly as possible, and this allows for me to move very, very fast. I was pretty generous with the time that I allotted on the video before with the window, and I said it takes between 3 or 4 hours, but ideally you want to get those windows done within about an hour and a half to 2 hour frame, basically time frame. All right, thanks.